I was still laughing like it was somebody else's problem when I scrolled past the news that you can pick up a marriage certificate at a club. Someone had commented that Truth or Dare just got a brand new penalty. The next day, when Chase and I went to file for our own license, we found out he was already married, registered the night before. His bro, Cassie gasped theatrically. Oh crap, last night at the club we must have lost that dare, so they punished us by making us get hitched. Chase's arm circled my waist, utterly unconcerned. We thought it was just a stunt, didn't know it was legit. No big deal, we'll just divorce. Once the 30-day cooling off period is over and Vivi and I collect the divorce decree, we'll come back and get you that real marriage license. I shrugged off his hand, smiling sweetly. Sure. I'll wait. Wait for him to drop to his knees and beg. Before we continue, smash that subscribe button and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. When I turned to leave, Chase caught my wrist, annoyed. What's the tantrum for? It's not like a divorce is impossible. You can't wait one lousy month? Cassie's arms slid shamelessly around his neck, pressing his head to her chest. Chill, sis. It's only 30 days, let me test drive your groom for you, bedroom skills included. If he's lousy, you can kick him to the curb and save yourself a lifetime of nothing. Everybody cracked up like this was normal, including Chase. He gave an exaggerated sigh, peeled her off, and flicked her t-shirt. With that boyish body? Pass. Cassie only thrust her chest higher. I've heard these can be trained bigger by a man's hand. Want to raise them yourself, enjoy the project? Rage surged through me. Until today he'd sworn Cassie was one of the guys, never mentioned she was a girl, let alone this shameless. Someone sensed my fury and tried smoothing things over. Don't be mad, sis. We were wasted and egging them on. Yeah, who knew you can actually RRY at a club? Crazy, right? A guy popped the trunk. Bro still cares, he set up a surprise for you. The smiles died instantly. The compartment that should have been packed with roses was trashed, every balloon crushed, and a lace thong tossed on top. Cassie squealed, snatching the thong. No wonder I felt breezy this morning, I forgot to put them on. She pouted at Chase. You could have reminded me. My mind went blank. I slapped him hard. You disgust me. Chase froze, then seized my hand. It's not what you think. She insisted on sleeping in the car, dead drunk. He shot her a look. Cassie rolled her eyes and drawled, right, totally my bad. I just had to nap in the trunk alone, wrecking the surprise he'd worked so hard on. She bit off the word alone, apology sounding like a dare. I yanked free and said coldly, well, you two are married, congratulations. A match made in gutter heaven. A man that filthy? Let whoever wanted him keep him. Chase blocked my path, face dark. I told you it was an accident. Must you be so nasty? The crew came to celebrate our license, we owe them dinner. Let's book Opal. I stared, stunned. I hadn't realized how thick-skinned he was. Opal averaged 800 a head and didn't take ordinary reservations. He couldn't even get through the door himself. Yet he expected me to bankroll his face saving after marrying someone else? I kicked him in the shin. Get lost. Whoever signed that license can foot the bill. I drove straight to Sterling. I'd barely stepped inside when Opal called. Sterling, Archer has run up an 88,000 tasting menu. When would you like to settle? I laughed in disbelief, shameless indeed. I told Opal, he ate, he pays. If he won't, call the detective. I have zero connection to him now. Minutes later my phone rang, Chase shouting the second I answered. Luna. You want me humiliated in front of my crew? Get over here and pay. I snorted. Why would I? He spoke like it was obvious. Every time we've dined there, you covered the bill. My voice went glacial. Right, try remembering why I ever paid. He finally recalled, he was broke, playing pitiful, swearing he'd be my trophy husband. Back then he was sweet, gorgeous, and I, heir to Sterling, liked the idea of staying single. So I agreed. He softened, using the croon that once melted me. Baby, don't be mad. I'll schedule the annulment with Vivi tomorrow. I'll marry you next month. Even if my certificate says Cassie, my heart says you. A tomboy like Cassie doesn't compare to you. Once those honeyed words would have thrilled me, now they turned my stomach. Through the phone I heard Cassie sneer, still sulking, huh? You spoil her too much, let her throw cash tantrums. 30 pushing spinster, who else would marry her? Another chimed in, yeah, Vivi's the real deal, buddy in the streets, freak in the sheets. Since the license is wrong, roll with it. Better than life imprisonment with the Ice Queen. Speaking of backseat roses, didn't the thorns bite last night? Raucous laughter followed. I'd wondered why he'd always kept me from his crew, now I knew he was hiding their ugliness. Chase probably covered the receiver, the background noise dimmed, but his tone hardened. Anyway, get over here. You always said you wanted to meet them, so quit playing hard to get. I said. Fine. Wait for me. Just before he hung up, I heard Chase crow, truth is, I spoiled her too much. Now one word from me and she comes running like a good little girl. I almost laughed. He really was flying high. I watched the autosave icon flash on the voice memo, then blacklisted his number and dove into work. The angrier I got, the harder I worked. I stayed at the office until sunrise and drove home. The second I opened the door, clothes littered the floor, Chase's and Cassie's from last night, forming a trail all the way to the master bedroom. The anger I'd managed to cool flared right back up. I filled a basin of cold water in the master bath, carried it to the bed, and dumped it over the tangled sheets. The two of them shot up naked and shrieking. When Cassie saw me, she snarled, "Have you lost it? We're sleeping here." I tossed the basin aside and gave a cold laugh. I see that. Crystal clear. Chase scrambled for his boxers. Luna, don't get the wrong idea, we're innocent, nothing happened. People really do laugh when they're past outrage. Chase, you think I'm Joey? Both of you naked and spooning, and you call it innocent? Cassie didn't even blush. Stark naked, she jumped to his defense. Do you know how bad you made him look when you bailed last night? And you dare throw a tantrum? Newsflash, Chase and I are legally married. Even if we do sleep together, it's perfectly legit. Chase scooped her dress off the rug and helped her into it with practiced hands. He looked at me like I'd let him down. Could you trust me for once? Why the paranoia? And last night, that was my crew. You embarrassed me in front of them. Tell you what, convert that K-tasting menu tab into cash and Venmo each of the guys, say, $100K apology. Then maybe I'll put in a good word. I stared, stunned. The audacity was astronomical. Did he really believe his crew's hype, that I couldn't live without him? Apparently he did, because his tone turned bossy. We've got a 30-day cooling off window for the annulment. Consider it your probation. Whether I still marry you in a month depends on how you behave. Oh, and Cassie's craving Opal's caviar chocolate budino, have one sent over. Cassie shoved me hard, gloating. Chase and I are the ones with the marriage certificate, so this is my house now. Get lost. Spend the next month figuring out how to kiss up to me. If I'm not happy, I might decide to stay married, then what will you do? The push sent me crashing into the walk-in closet. A decorative knob jabbed my lower back, sharp and bright with pain. Chase half reached out, then dropped his hand. Your temper's been out of control lately. You need to work on that. Work on your mama. Leaning against the cabinet, I hauled myself up and slapped them both. Cassie screeched, grabbed my hair, and tried to slap me back. I could have dodged and countered, until Chase seized my wrists. Luna, that's enough. Held by him, I took several hard blows, my cheeks burned and blood beaded at my lip. Seeing the blood, Chase's gaze flickered with guilt. You hit first. Don't blame Cassie. For now, stay somewhere else. Cassie doesn't like rooming with women. I'd still half expected him to act human. Turns out he skipped straight to beast. What, was Dolores born from a rock? She's not a woman? Any last feeling I had for him shriveled up. I hauled the deed out of the dresser drawer and flung it in his face. Read it, my name's on the deed. You two freeloaders are the ones who should get out. And Chase, every stitch you're wearing, every bite you've eaten, is on my dime. Strip before you leave. Also, enjoy watching your little startup circle the drain. Cassie stepped between us, righteous as a preacher. You're still going to marry him, so why quibble? Sooner or later this house, and Sterling, will be his anyway. Instead of handing everything over like a good fiancé, you threaten to kick him out? Let me guess, you want to play strong woman until Chase dumps you and you come crawling back. I was speechless. A woman trash-talking her own sex, did she think she'd grown a beard? Wait till life teaches her what men can do. I'd heard enough. Leave now or I'll have security toss you out. I pulled out my phone and tapped 911. Chase hesitated. Cassie yanked his arm. She's bluffing. It's just a crummy house, she snapped. If I can't live here, neither can she. She stormed into the kitchen, grabbed a gallon of canola oil, and raced back to splash it over the drapes and the walk-in closet. My stomach lurched. I lunged to stop her. Hold her. Cassie barked at Chase. You want her walking all over you for the rest of your marriage? That single sentence killed his hesitation. He wrapped his arms around my waist, pinning me. I could only watch as Cassie emptied the container, then flicked her Zippo onto the soaked fabric. The oil-fed flames clawed upward in seconds. Coughing from the first curl of black smoke, Cassie shoved me aside and dragged Chase out. They slammed the master bedroom door and locked it from the hallway before I could follow. Half the room was already blazing. Heat slapped my face like a branding iron. Panicked, I pounded on the door. Chase, open this right now. He hesitated. Cassie blocked the knob. Grow a spine, babe. Let her beg. Chase wavered, then spoke through the wood. Luna, Cassie's right. You should have given me the house and Sterling from the start. All you really need is me, isn't it? If you sign the deed and Sterling over to me right now, I'll open the door and let you out. The flames were climbing higher. My hair had already singed into curls, and black smoke clawed at my throat until I coughed uncontrollably. The instant I tried to speak, it felt as though I'd swallowed a fistful of razor blades. I couldn't force out a single complete sentence. Cassie was still fanning the fire, literally. Look at her acting so tough. The fire's not big enough yet. Let it cook a little longer. The single word from Chase, fine, sent my heart plummeting through the floor. I stopped waiting for either of them to grow a conscience. I staggered into the master bath off the master bedroom, cranked the rain shower to full blast, and doused myself until every inch of skin was soaked, then curled into a shivering ball. Through the roar in my ears I heard Cassie shriek, "It's jumping to the drapes." Panic cracked Chase's voice. "What about Luna?" Cassie snarled, "Screw her. You wanna die in here?" Scrambling footsteps faded down the hall. Just like that, they left me to burn. Black smoke began sliding under the door, coiling around my ankles, creeping higher with every breath I struggled to draw. My vision blurred into gray flowers. Right when I was certain I would die on this cold tile, the door exploded inward. "Ma'am, are you okay?" A firefighter. The second I felt his gloved hand, I grabbed it with all my strength and croaked, "Call the cops." Arson. Attempted murder. A house fire is serious business, the crew radioed Riverdale before the echo of my words had died. Acting on my statement, they picked up the two who'd fled to the Rowan place and hauled them straight to Riverdale. Cassie shrieked the whole way. "Lies. When did I ever try to kill her? She's making this up." The detective's brow knitted. "Did you set the fire?" Her gaze flickered, just once, before she snapped, "Of course not. She torched her own place. She's obsessed with my husband. When he refused to dump me and marry her, she threatened to kill herself, and now she's trying to drag us down with her." She shot Chase a frantic look. "Right, honey?" Chase knew that if Cassie went down for felony arson, he'd sink with her as an accessory. So he jumped in, nodding furiously. "Yeah, exactly. She's unhinged. We're legally married, and she still demands I divorce Cassie and pick her." I managed to cut through. "First of all, that's my estate, Cassie bulldozed me, which you insisted my husband move into. You just hadn't finished the paperwork. Officer, my husband's lived there for ages, ask any neighbor." Chase bobbed his head like a dashboard doll. "She set the fire to force me into marrying her. When I said no, she decided to frame us for arson and ruin our lives." A young cop muttered, "With all that money, why chase a taken guy?" Cassie smirked. 30 and still single, guess it messes with your mind." Chase exhaled, relief written all over him. They actually thought a neat little story would make it all disappear. Too bad, there's secure it. Why footage inside. The color drained from both their faces. I tucked my phone from my pocket, Chase lunged to snatch it and got cuffed mid-leap. I queued up the clip that showed Cassie splashing canola oil and lighting a Zippo. The detectives watched, jaws slack, as the two of them gloated on camera while flames took hold. Cassie squealed, "Fake. Deep fake AI garbage. That witch planned this." But the crime lab geeks don't take your word for it. An hour later the verdict came back, unaltered. Cassie's last lifeline snapped. Chase panicked and hurled every ember of blame at her. "I didn't light anything." "She did. Take her, not me." Cassie gaped. "Archer, I did this for you." He stepped back like she was radioactive. "I never told you to torch anything. Stop dragging me into your crazy." "Nice try." He'd stood there, blocking me from stopping her, making him an accomplice. No escape for either of them. When the detective spelled that out, Chase lost it, screaming, "This is your fault. You said we'd scare her a little, now we're both headed to Riverdale." Cassie screamed back, "You kept whining Luna made you feel useless, so I stepped up, remember?" Two bros who'd shared both a marriage certificate and a bed now tore chunks out of each other. Turns out their buddy bond was tissue paper thin. Finally Chase twisted toward me, eyes shining with desperation. "Luna, I messed up. I shouldn't have listened to Cassie. Forgive me, okay? Don't press charges, I don't want to be caged. Give me a month. I'll divorce her and marry you like you always wanted." I laughed, cold and razor sharp. Sorry, I'm not interested in a twice-married mooch who can't keep his hand out of the purse. Chase rattled the cuffs. That certificate was just a dumb dare, it doesn't count. And I only talked about your estate, I wasn't serious. Luna, I love you. I felt nothing. Your kind of love costs more than I'm willing to pay. Enjoy prison with your bestie. Maybe they'll bunk you together. Though I'm not sure which wing they'll put her in, the dress code's a little confusing for someone so non-binary. I turned on my heel and phoned the Sterling family law attorney. We're suing for attempted murder and arson, plus full restitution. Because while reviewing footage I discovered something extra. Last night at Opal they'd used the stolen cash from my Birkin to bankroll their little K-tasting menu fiesta. They'll be buying me a new estate, too. I took a few days to heal, then marched back to Sterling. A man? Optional. Money? Non-negotiable. I'd barely settled into my workday when chaos erupted outside Sterling. My assistant looked at me, the embarrassment written all over her face. Luna, there's a couple downstairs with their son, claiming you're their daughter-in-law. They say you toyed with the boys' feelings and framed their daughter, landing her in Riverdale. My first thought was Chase's mother. But that didn't add up. Chase doesn't have a sister, and he was still sitting in lockup. I went down and found Dolores waving a giant blow-up of a marriage certificate, mine, next to a man I'd never seen. The moment she spotted me she shrieked, finger stabbing the air. Everyone, look at this heartless woman. My poor children, one played with and tossed aside, the other locked up for attempted murder she fabricated. Do the rich really own the world? Where's justice? Office towers flank three sides of the plaza, clocked-out salarymen poured in like a tide. Years of cubicle grudges primed them to boo the moment someone skewered the wealthy. She looks classy, how could she stoop so low? Easy, she's a one-percenter, they write the rules. I kept my face blank. The certificate is a fake. I've never signed one in my life. My memory is rock solid. Dolores whipped out the original booklet, thrusting it at the crowd. Tell me this is fake. My boy says she coaxed him at that club place, they filled the papers that same night. Next morning she acted like she'd never met him. She shoved the bewildered man forward. Speak up, son. Joey's eyes crawled over me, the stare made my skin crawl. He giggled and lunged for a hug. Wifey. You're my wifey. I lurched back, my bodyguard blocked him like a brick wall. The chorus thickened. Yeah, the rumor about a Vegas-style marriage window at the VIP lounge, I heard that too. I knew someone would sober up and regret it. She probably just wanted a fling. She signed, own it, girl. My temples hammered. Call Riverdale. Now. No point dueling with a mob. Back at Riverdale I faced the same detective from earlier, looking half dead inside. After my explanation he could only pinch the bridge of his nose. The booklet was sent for verification. Dolores drummed the table, fearless. That paper is legit, today she moves into Rowan and consummates this marriage. Give me my grandbaby. I waited, arms folded, for the lab report. 20 minutes later the tech returned, expression uneasy. It's authentic. County clerk confirms the ceremony took place at club's 24-hour chapel counter. I checked the timestamp, same night Chase and Cassie did their dumb dare. I wasn't even at club that night, then it hit me. The day before we were scheduled to file our own license, Chase said I was scatterbrained and offered to keep my driver's license in his wallet for safety. They had used it, while I worked late, they'd married me off by proxy. I laid this out, teeth clenched, and added that Chase still had my license. When they hauled him in he assumed I'd dropped the charges. He started toward me, arms wide. Luna, I knew you loved me. At your age you'll never find anyone better. Relax, after the wedding you can stay home and leave Sterling to me. Nausea, familiar and instant. I ignored him. The detective yanked him back and asked about the license and the impromptu ceremony. Chase admitted my ID had been in his pocket. But I'd never let someone else marry her. I'm T.H. E. Groom. Did you lose sight of it at any point? The officer pressed. Chase's eyes widened. Yeah, Cassie wanted a look at Luna's driver's license. I handed it over while she went to the restroom, and she gave it right back. I stared, stunned at his stupidity. Of course Cassie was involved. They dragged her in. She didn't bother denying it. She's loaded, why shouldn't she bail out my little brother? Here's how. I photoshopped Luna's head onto the application, copied her makeup, dragged Joey downtown, and boom, license granted. Chase slapped her so hard the crack echoed. Why? She's my fiancé. Cassie didn't even flinch. You already married me. Family stays family, so Luna can marry Joey and keep the cash flowing. They almost came to blows in the squad room. Chase looked sick with remorse. Luna, I swear I knew nothing. I couldn't be bothered to answer. The damage was done anyway. Once the facts were on file, the sham union was voided. Still, the stain lingered. Dolores kept dragging Joey to Sterling, howling that I was their daughter-in-law and owed them an heir. I posted security footage of the tantrums online. The public tide flipped, jeering at them instead of me. Memes ripping the club chapel's quickie license flooded timelines. Officials swore they vet every couple for sobriety, but drunks can fake lucidity, and impulsivity wins every time. The stunt dented Sterling's stock for half a day, then the free publicity drove revenues up 5%. Naturally, I leveraged the moment, slapped together a limited-run bride-to-boardroom capsule collection, and watched profits spike. Cassie's arson case hit the courthouse next. Because intent was property damage rather than homicide, the judge gave her 5 years. Chase, tagged as accessory with no lethal intent, walked with probation and a vandalism record, the rest chalked up to collateral chaos. So they were sentenced to 2 years. I wasn't really satisfied, but there was nothing I could do. Word was that C. Hayes had been clamoring for a divorce from Cassie, and Cassie wouldn't agree. The company I'd kept afloat for Chase went into full bankruptcy and liquidation. My own accidental marriage case also went to trial, annulment granted. That mother-daughter pair finally ran out of excuses to harass me. I exhaled. Surely this mess was over now. One night after work I headed down to the Sterling garage when a figure bolted out, clamped a hand over my mouth, and dragged me toward a dark corner. I fought like hell. Someone cracked me hard over the head and knocked me out. When I came to, I was tied up in a flaking, mildew-stinking room. Dolores stared at me with eyes like black ice. Cheap little slut. Being married to my precious boy is an honor, and you dared file for annulment. She beckoned to her son, who stood there giggling. Come here, sweetie, this is your wife. Later you'll strip her clothes off, like this, then like that. Her filthy, graphic instructions turned my stomach. That good-for-nothing Cassie finally did something right, landed you, a walking bank account, for my son. You sleep with her plenty. If she fights, just slap her, she'll settle down. Her dim-witted son bobbed his head and cackled. Dolores left, satisfied, and shut the door. The moment she was gone the half-wit lunged to tear at my clothes. I waited until he was close, then rammed my foot into his crotch. Joey collapsed, howling in pain. Dolores burst back in, frantic. Baby, what happened? I sprinted for the exit. She'd tied sloppy knots. I'd already worked the zip ties loose while she spouted her garbage. She realized, whirled after me, and snatched a cleaver from the table. Bitch! You dare hurt my boy. Just then the door flew inward under a boot. Police! The cleaver clanged to the floor. Only then did I let myself breathe. My bodyguard had made the call. I'd known Dolores wouldn't give up. I'd also noticed someone tailing me for days. Calling the cops over vague shadows would have been pointless. So I set the trap and let them spring it. Otherwise they'd have stalked me forever. Turns out Dolores was even crazier than I thought. No wonder Cassie's mind was warped, she inherited the crazy gene. Still, it worked out. Mother and son both earned themselves a stay in Riverdale. This was my 3rd trip to the station. The detectives were starting to greet me by sight, their eyes soft with pity. I felt vaguely ridiculous. In the end I put the Rowan duo behind bars. I threw myself into work. Within a single year I took Sterling public. Chase was released. He knew every address I owned and camped outside my gate. I was past irritation. We're done. Is that so hard to grasp? He looked wrecked, defeated. He dropped to his knees. Luna, I'm sorry, I never meant for it to go that far. At the start I loved you, I swear, I wanted to treat you right. But my crew kept telling me a man needs pride, that I had none with you. The more they said it, the more I believed. I finished the sentence for him. And then you got full of yourself. The big, broken man actually cried. They were jealous. All of them. Because I was marrying someone like you. After release he had nowhere to go, no cash. He asked those same buddies for help. Every one of them turned their back. They even mocked him. Called him a moron. Luna, give me one more chance. From now on I'll only listen to you, never those losers again. I'll know my place, I swear. I felt nothing except mild disgust. If you're really sorry, stay the hell away. I don't want to see your face. He walked off like a ghost. I didn't soften. Show up again and you'll be back inside. I sent you there once, I can do it twice. I shut the door in his face. I never heard from him again, until years later, when Cassie was also out. Chase suddenly resurfaced, claiming he'd rebuilt an empire. He threw a welcome home party for Cassie, inviting all the old crew. They drank, to death. Chase poison. Ed, every one of them. When they arrested him he looked insane, shrieking, "It's all your fault. All of you. If not for you I'd be rich. You deserve to die." I only shrugged when I heard. I did feel a pang for Cassie, though. Seeing Dolores, I realized Cassie's warped psyche must have been forged in that house. Valued less because she was a girl, she tried to erase her own womanhood, chasing acceptance as one of the guys. Sad origin, but still no excuse for what she did. She earned her ending. Everything else ceased to be my problem. I decided marriage wasn't in my future. But I still date younger men when I need spice. Once your bank balance hits a certain number, age is irrelevant. Plenty out there, hotter and younger than Chase, throw themselves at me. Who says 30 is the expiration date? I'm living my best life. Men and money, neither is in short supply. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up and share with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.